The little rabbit went down to the store. He didn't know what he wanted, but it was getting late. He looked to his mother and said, "Will we have time to go to the store, Mother?" They were from England, you know, or somewhere close to it. An approximation. The mama bunny said, "We have to go home." So bad. The mother had picked up a different dialect in her travels abroad. And she replied, "Hey, so, we have only a few more minutes before we can catch the Dutcher Snedeker podcast." And while he's, doing this kind of extended intro, that's not enough time for us to go into the store and grab a little bit of milk and some vegetables for dinner. We have some leftover stew, and we might as well just reheat that and go when it's sunny. "Oh, Mother, you always know what's best." And with that, they journeyed home and turned on their television for an evening of entertainment. Do you like that? Do you like that story time? I figured I'd start a little bit more gentle. Oh, I already picked... Silly me. I was looking for this. Now, if you don't know what this is, you have a better command of your health than me. But this is the Peach Edition from Red Bull. And what is different about it? Well, it sort of tastes like peaches. That's it. It vitalizes the body and mind. See, when you listen to that. Just get right up in there. You're gonna open the can. That's kind of anticlimactic. I thought it would at least fizzle a little bit, but it was just kind of eh. Why am I having this, you say? Because I want to. And because here's a funny thing. I'm going to say I'm drinking it because I'm tired. But I'm probably tired because of these energy drinks. They get me through part of the day, and then I crash. But then I still have the energy a little bit going into the night. It's weird. I'm trying to learn also how to breathe away from the microphone, because in my editing I do a lot of I'm talking and and I just breathe, and it's we all breathe, but I don't want you to hear me breathe all the time. I know there's probably that kind of breathing technique that singers do, that they go I kind of did it, but, they breathe in, but you don't really hear a, and they teach that to young singers. And I only know this because I worked for Allendale High School for a year, and that was fun. I have fond memories of working there. Even though, it was in a weird interim in my life where I'd I'd finished up my undergrad at Grand Valley State University, and then I was terrible at the college application process, so I only applied to I had 4 picks for schools, purely just because of certain cities and certain people I might want to study with. I had 2 in-person auditions, one in Chicago and one in Boston. And the one in Boston, I got snowed in for 2 extra days. So it was kind of like a vacation, which was nice, but I had to spend more money than I wanted to. And then the Chicago one was going down there, coming back. And out of the 4 picks, I don't even know what the 4th pick was. I think I only auditioned for 2 of the 4, and then one of the one of the other ones, I had like a commitment, and I was like, hey, I can't, go down there to audition because of this like important. It wasn't like, oh, it's a test. It was like something I couldn't like move, and this school wouldn't take me. They wouldn't. They were like, oh well, sorry, guess you're not coming. That's fine. So it was like after that, I started working at Allendale High School. Great kids, great program. In spite of how much they put emphasis on sports, but they have a really nice like community focused arts center. They can do productions and have like touring artists, and it's a great little space. And I did that. It was a weird interim of like it was my first time moving out, and I didn't do it until like the tail end of the high school year. But then I was living with like some familiar faces, Justin Avdek, Justin Wieringa, and it was it was a nice little time to feel like, okay, I'm independent, I have this job. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I could probably do this a couple more years and, save up some money, pay down some debt. I didn't really have debt from Grand Valley, not a ton. So, or if any, I don't think I had any. It was a combination of like academic scholarships, music stipends, music scholarships, getting a lot of paid accompanying work, and my parents, of course, definitely, my parents' housing and feeding and helping me take care of like my car and all that stuff. And not needing to drive my car out to campus really, if I could avoid it. But yeah, I was living out of my parents' house for 2 months. So this is 2016 now. And then it was like school ended in June. And then the week after, I had gotten a confirmation from Western Michigan University. I had started a conversation with them in the fall about like, hey, I'm thinking about coming here to pursue my master's in jazz, and folks were like, yeah, that sounds cool. I think I was talking to Tony Healy at the time, maybe also Jeremy Siskin when he was there. I feel like I was talking to both of them, but so the high school year ended. The week after, I got a confirmation that they wanted to have me come audition. And I found out I got into Bang on a Can, which was, that was a whole experience in itself. For those who don't know, the Bang on a Can organization was started by, Michael Gordon, Julia Wolf, and David Lang, these three kind of, composition students who created a festival to perform a lot of their music, their friends' music, because all of them were getting told at the time, like, hey, no one's going to program your music unless you write it a certain way. And they were like, we're going to create our own infrastructure then. And, they went from running this like marathon festival that would last like a full day, programming acts late into the night. They would, they took care of like all the licensing for like, serving booze and food and like booking the talent, paying the talent, booking the venue, like promo. They just hit the ground running. It turned from that, kind of a grassroots thing, into an institution of contemporary music where, they have a record label that they can publish artists. They have the Bang on a Can Summer Music Festival, which is what I participated in, it took place in the month of July. 3 weeks of intense learning different music, different workshops, interacting with the community, interacting with the patrons of the Massachusetts Museum of Contemporary Art, doing these lunch concerts, workshops, with people who, I would love to get back together with them because the climate was just it was like people who got it. It's like people who, they didn't need to be told to go, to go practice, to work on anything. They were very proficient at what they did, and they were very communicative. They weren't, like, oh, these geniuses that you just don't understand them. It was a great festival. I'll probably talk a little bit more about it in a different episode, but I just wanted to, emphasize that year of interim was so weird because like I I actually got into NEC, was literally about 3 weeks out from moving. And then I made the decision based on, talking with my folks and kind of, assessing the cost and all that. I made the decision to stay, and then I worked at Allendale High School. And that summer after the first year, I quit that job to go do my master's, which was like crazy. I left banging a can with no money. I found a place to live through like an old friend from like growing up in church, and she also went to City High School. And I somehow cobbled together like, okay, I have a place to live. I know where I'm going for my master's. Moving cities. It was all in the span of like, a week that I got the place, figured out when I could move in, got everything packed up at my my house in Grand Rapids, and then just moved down there and did 2 years there. And what a whirlwind that was to have a year of such crazy change of like, you're going to get into this like prestigious school. Nah, it's too expensive. Oh, you're okay. You got this new job that, has benefits and decent pay, and, the kids are cool. That's great. All right. Not necessarily where I saw myself, but we'll see how this plays out. Oh, okay. No, you got an opportunity to basically attend your master's for free. All right, let's go. Let's figure that out before going into a month-long art intensive where all of your money's going to go away. And then move to a completely new city in a week from returning from this thing that I was gone for a month. So I didn't have any time to like, kind of catch up with the crew or the people in Grand Rapids during that summer, aside from certain gigs. And then I was just kind of thrown right into my master's. But I can't remember why I started talking about that year. I know we were talking about school, talking about, jobs. I don't know. I did have something I wanted to talk about though. There's that breathe. I notice now when I laugh, I go like, breathe. I laugh and then I breathe. Why do humans have to breathe all the time? Don't we know that, we should have something built in for, podcasts? Like we should have our own plugins. But anyway, the thing I wanted to talk about, I'm going to pick a key. Let's do so many keys. Let's do E. So what I wanted to talk about today, how some things never really change with gigs. I had been not performing live for months, partly because restaurants and venues were closed, partly because I didn't want to be out and about in such a volatile time, especially because I knew I was going to see my family and certain close friends, and I didn't want to accidentally carry something that would ruin everyone's time, get people sick, put people at risk. But in the recent month, like I mentioned in my previous podcast, I think it was episode 6, I have gigs. I have this residency now at the Listening Room, and I played there again this past Friday, because Saturday there was a private event. And what do you think happened that, tends to happen when there's a piano being played on a stage and there's one person in a room full of people kind of casually enjoying the comfort of the ambiance of the room? Well, it's a little thing called trying to make it about them. And what do I mean by that? Here's a little etiquette tip. For those of you in Grand Rapids, you might get these analogies. I know Kalamazoo has this as well. dueling piano bars. That concept is they have a big old book full of every song that, most people want to hear. And they've worked out a routine. They've figured out, okay, they know how to sing a song. They know how to play a song between the two pianos, all that stuff. They take requests. They do. They usually tell you, too. They tell you, like, hey, we're taking requests, money in the jar. I've seen people do, like $5 for a song. It's like, putting money in a jukebox, but it's live musicians. And that's who takes requests. If there's no indication, if there's no tip jar, there's no signage, there's no announcement from the musician, there's no expectation from how the music has been advertised, if there's no, if there's nobody telling you when you walk in, like, hey, what is this guy doing? Oh, well, he plays some original tunes and then, he takes requests, or like he plays select jazz covers that you could request. And the problem with requests, first of all, it's fine if you do them. It's fine. The worst that happens when, if I were, on stage and you said, you take requests, and I say no, that's it. That's the conversation. We learned that I don't do requests. Sorry. Someone else might. This lady, I don't blame her at all for this very small grievance, but it plays, when you're a musician, it plays out in your head a different way. At least for me. It might not for other people. Might be like, all right, that was a normal interaction. But for me, this lady comes up. She had been, we'll say, enjoying some libations, for all you sensitive grandmothers that apparently listen to my podcast. I don't know why. Well, did they drink something with their victuals? Something that could, something that would go well with a nice strawberry tart? Maybe some cordial or some brandy? Or maybe a Shirley Temple, But you don't have to have alcohol. The lady, she had been drunk, not out of her mind. But when you don't get to socialize and drink a lot, you are gonna drink. I've taken a break from drinking because I look at a beer and I have a hangover for some reason. And that could be any number of things. I've had people tell me, you're just not drinking it right. I'm not drinking. You're just not drinking the alcohol right. I'm not. How do you drink it? Is it the speed? Because usually the speed is the problem. Am I drinking it too slow? Is that what's like? It has to be like there's an optimal rate to drink beer. Anyway, this lady comes up. I'm in the middle of a song. I'm just like, what was I doing? I don't know the rest. I don't think it's that. I was playing it in a mellow tone. And that was actually kind of how it felt. It felt like I was just like, hey, how's it going? Do you take requests? No, I don't, is what I meant to say. But I was like, what ones are you looking for? Maybe. I might take requests. Do you happen to know any songs by Elton John? Maybe. In my head, I'm like, maybe I could look up something on my, iPad, sight read it badly, and by the end of it, she'll recognize it and we'll all be happy. And she's like, yeah, Elton John, do you know any Elton John? Elton John anywhere? Do you know any Elton John? I'm like, no, I'm like playing. This is what I was doing. I was just playing this loop. Because, you know, already people are just like, you know, they're like, oh, I'm in the jazz room. All right, now that I'm used to the jazz room, now I can, like, you know, do other things. And, you know, this lady's talking to me, and I was like, Elton John, okay, I'll see what I got. Why not? Maybe she'll tip me. I don't know. Maybe the world's changed. Maybe people don't have unrealistic expectations for every entertainment they interact with. And then as she walks away, she's like, hey, by the way, I hear that he's got this great song called Piano Man. And I was like, but, yeah. And I'm like, still, you know, I look back at my chart. Okay, I'm playing the tune. And I'm like, piano, I don't want to play piano. Wait a minute, that's not even by Elton John. That's not even by Elton John. And you're just, I'm like, no. Did you mean to say Rocket Man? I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. No, I can't play. But then I thought about it, like, I could just play anything and say, like, yeah, I played Piano Man by Elton John. You know, there's the other Piano Man by Billy Joel, but you know what? I'm even going to not hang my hat. I'm going to look up this fact. Because maybe there is a Billy Joel, a Billy Joel by Elton John. Maybe Elton John was Billy Joel once. Piano Man. Piano Man, Elton John. Oh, what? Wait a minute. Oh my gosh. Okay, so when you go to Google, I'm going to put a little screenshot. I'll take the screenshot right now. So stop closing the there. Screenshot. So it'll be up right here. It said song by Billy Joel and Elton John. And I was like, what? What do you, and then I look at the Wikipedia article and it's like written and performed by Billy Joel. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not crazy. But the version that popped up when I typed in Elton John, because it was something that filled in, Billy Joel and Elton John performed it together on tour. So maybe that's what that lady saw. We'll give her the benefit of the doubt. I would like to think that she gave her request, went back, and was too, you know, into her conversations with folks and drunk to, like, really care. I played some Stevie Wonder. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, Elton John's probably covered Stevie Wonder, right? We're getting close. But I don't know. It was a stretch. But that's when I was thinking about that moment. It's reminded me of so many times that's happened where sometimes it's good. They ask for a request. It's non-specific or it's a genre. Something I could easily fill in my own tune with, you know, from years of playing gigs for, you know, cover gigs and jazz gigs and stuff. And the idea that, you know, people wait, it's like, really, did you wait that long to be able to see live entertainment so you could tell them what to do? Like, I get it. You like, oh, I haven't heard this song performed live. I never understand that, though. The nostalgia you're feeling for a recording isn't the same as hearing it live. Like, I'm not going to sing it. Like, what do you think? I feel like people have a fantasy of what happens when a song is requested. It's like, it's not like when you play it on a jukebox and it's really loud and you're like, oh, I love this song. And you're in a club and you start dancing. not, with my extensive experience never being in clubs. Um, the idea that like, it's like now the party's starting. We got Piano Man. People are gonna love it. 'Cause that's such a drinking song thing too. I feel like it's got that like lilt to it that a party like at a wedding. Like if people are drinking and they hear Piano Man, they're like, "There's a piano, piano man." I've played Piano Man once in my life, and it luckily wasn't for a drunk crowd. But that's what she probably thought. Like, he's gonna play Piano Man. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna get Kyle and Topher and Craig. I don't know. I don't even know who was. It might have been like just an all girl table. I don't know. There's like I'm gonna get Becky and other Susan. I don't know what are people named nowadays. Elon Musk is naming in math equations and certain names that were like from the 1920s are becoming popular again. Have you met my son Alistair? Alistair. That's a big name to live up to. Yes, his name is Alistair, and when he grows up, he will have a high pedigree. Based on what? He could grow up to be a criminal. I don't know. Ah, yes, people know Alistair, the man who robbed and burned down every store he's ever visited. He's a known serial arsonist burglar. My son's gonna do great things one day. He's gonna rob every store. Just for fun, not for necessity, just for fun. Anyway, I think that's what was happening, is that she wanted to like pick a song that she's like, he's a man. He's a man. He's a man. He should know he's a piano man, right? He should know piano man. Excuse me, do you know piano man? You're a man, and you should know piano man. That's the song you should know. Piano Man. No, Piano Man's a piano. It's about a man and a piano. Like, no, I don't need you to tell me what I should know. That's the problem. When you start like, I don't want to be part of my frustration with that kind of dynamic is like the people pleaser in me doesn't want to be like, no, like I want to get to a point where I'm like, yeah, I know a song. It'd be like, man, sing a song in the piano substitution. But I didn't want to play it. And I didn't want to play it. Didn't want to do it. After I was done playing for the night, I was joking with folks in the space because that table had long left. And in fact, the table next to theirs tipped me. He's like, "You're doing great. Just play whatever you want." I was like, "Can you do that for everything I do? I got Patreon. You want $20 for Patreon?" To have someone just hand you a 20 and be like, "Do whatever you want." Yes, that's all I've ever wanted. I don't want to. A music career is so undefinable and it changes so rapidly, as we've seen in this last year. I don't want to have to but you should do it. You know how they play music in malls? You should make music for malls, man. You should make music for malls. Like what? They play top 40 in malls. No, I mean like when you get in the store and there's like that music. Like I go to Hollister, they play music, man. No. If my music ends up in a mall, weird but cool. Whatever. It's diversifying income, as musicians want to do. But that's not my goal. I'm not right. Some people legit have a passion for like, I'm going to write music for elevators, and it's going to be a calming thing. Like Brian Eno, he wrote one of my favorite albums to zone out to, which is music for airports. And it was like a musical response to how stressful airports are. It's functional, it's artistic, it's cool. But I'm not going to just lead with that. Maybe it ends up there. Maybe I repurpose something I create, but I don't know. Functional music tends to get a lot more pay because you can kind of place it, like nondescript. It's like we need something that sounds like top 40, sounds like this genre, sounds like this artist. We can't afford this artist, so we're going to commission you to make something similar. Sure. But back to this story, the lady probably left, no harm, no foul. But I was joking with some of the staff afterwards, being like, is this what I waited 8 months for? Is this what I waited? Like, I was supposed to play the listening room literally last year. I was supposed to do a show where none of you would have shown up. We sold like 12 tickets. And it was me. It was Earth Radio, August, and Groove Ground. Like, what are we? We sold like no. And granted, maybe people were catching wind of like a shutdown or quarantine, and maybe they were just skeptical. Like, oh, it's not going to happen anyway. But what the heck? Now I'm back at the listening rooms. They're like, whoa, this is crazy. This could have happened last year, too. Now I'm grateful for the support. But I just think it's funny how there's a big camp. Here's one quick aside. The big camp of they miss live music. Everyone has a personal relationship with live music. Some people don't go to shows at all, maybe one or two a year. Some maybe save their money, go to a big festival or a couple big festivals because they like to, do Molly in the woods or camp in the desert. I don't know. I want to go to big festivals to network. I don't want to just be like trudging through like past the, some dude selling psychedelics in a cave. Like, oh, isn't that folksy? Oh, there's that guy. I just want to see the artists do cool things and then be able to be like, hey, how'd you do that cool thing? You remember me from the other thing? Do you remember the rapport we built at another thing? Can I come up on stage? I was starting to do more guest slots at Founders before I got let go. Like I was starting to be able to like bring my microkorg, and I literally did. I went on stage with the Wild Adriatic, and then I did like I used the I soloed with Sons of Funk. I used their rig, and then I did like a side stage solo with, I think, the Rocket Boosters, which is like, it's like a MSU Lansing semi Joe Hertler affiliated band that plays covers, and it's led by Aaron. Is his name Aaron? I don't know. It's the dude who like the dude who's the Sunflower, open chest jacketed saxophone player. There's so many names I can't remember. It's because I haven't seen people in so long. But okay, quick aside. There's people who dig live music. They've been saying they miss it. So, but because it's personal, that doesn't mean if live music returns in some fashion that it doesn't mean that everyone's going to come see me play the listening room, which is fine. I understand that. But when I hear it from a perspective of pure, and I don't want to like be mean about this, but it hits different when you work in the field of music. Like personally, I've enjoyed some of the time off from the crazy because I was in full running myself ragged mode. I was like, there was no time to do anything. There's still no time to do anything, but I have more room to I have more of a buffer. and I have more time to sleep, and I don't have to travel as many places. So that's been an interesting thing to see out of all of this, is that there is this, this desire for live music to come back. People are willing to sponsor live music. People who might not have given certain types of live music a chance are kind of starting to, step back out into the public, step back out into, spaces that have made it safe and comfortable to enjoy live music. And that's cool. When it opens up to full capacity again, in 500 years, we'll see what people think. I just don't want people, because I've talked with people who, I ran into some dude bro in a polo at the Bob, like loading in my gear. This is probably 2 years ago, and I heard him say like, "Oh, is there music tonight?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just playing music with this band." He's like, I don't know if I'll stick around. There's not a lot to do around here. There's not a lot of music around here. And I'm like, first of all, wrong. Second of all, just because Beyonce isn't in town doesn't mean that our city doesn't have a music scene. You just have to do a little bit of extra work, because a lot of the artists that are in your hometown, they're hustling and they're promoting on certain platforms that reach music listeners. We all can't be in the top 40 on Billboard and get, pumped out to like 10 stations in a state on repeat every hour for, and a lot of people don't listen to that anymore. A lot of people don't really, listen to radio, except for like, there's a good community around WICE. People invest in other, community focused broadcasts or media groups or whatever that love the Michigan music scene. But to hear that dude who's just like, yeah, there's not a lot of live music out there, I'm bored. It's like, I think you need a new definition of what entertainment and live music is to you, and you need to open yourself up to new experiences. But of course, I just said, yeah, sure, and I just kept moving. There's something dismissive. It's not a lot of live music. Would you agree, live musician? No. I'm not agreeing with you. There's plenty of live music. Well, not now, but this is, 2019. We're in the thick of it. But, it's funny to see what things are sticking around even after the pandemic, and that's fine. It feels, in a weird way, it feels normal. In another way, it's like we still have a long way to go before... music is never going to get back to this fantasy world of like, people could make a living on the road, just on the road, unless, you're at a certain tier, or people can only make money. It's like, you don't need the internet. You can make money offline. No, you need the internet. You need it. You need a way to communicate with people outside of your scene because, annoyingly, the way that social medias are all set up, you can't really communicate that well with your friend group unless you do like boosted posts, which is stupid. Like I'll put something out and it'll get like, 20 to 40, reactions or likes, and maybe a couple hundred people are reached, but I have like 2,000 friends. I'm reaching like maybe a tenth of those people. And it's not like, if it were like, oh, well, 10% are of your friend group, they're the only people in Michigan. It's like, no, that's not true at all. But yeah, that's another topic for another time too. Is just like what 2021 looks like with all the things that have changed and all the prospects of like what live music I can do and where I can do it. But to have that lady, stumble up, give me a request. It felt normal. It was funny. I didn't fulfill that request. It was just kind of like, doesn't matter what happens, there's always going to be someone wanting to hear Piano Man. And that's basically my life. Doesn't matter what I do, someone's always going to want to hear Piano Man. It's like, oh, I just did this, and it's significant to me as an artist, and the community seems to like it. Cool. Well, do you know Piano Man? Do you know Piano Man? You should know Piano Man. Because you're a man. Piano. I don't know why this drunken voice is also kind of like, you should not piano, man. You should not, man. Man. But I invite you to check out live music wherever you are. See what you can stumble into. Maybe it's a outdoor patio when it's a little sunnier. Maybe it's a small coffee shop environment with a solo artist. Maybe it's a venue that you can reserve a table at and enjoy a meal. They have, the reservations are timed, so you have enough time to enjoy things, but you don't feel like you're being exposed to the elements for too long. Because live music is slowly dribbling out in certain fashions and certain conditions with certain venues and certain spots. And if you really want to put your, enthusiasm for live music to the test, see how you might want to try one of these options. But also, you don't have to if you aren't comfortable, because I'm also live streaming. Tune into a stream, get in your PJs, make that, that DiGiorno pizza, pour yourself a little bit of whiskey, because, you want to feel like an adult, so you get whiskey, even though you just made a frozen pizza. But, hey, who am I to judge? Mother, was that the podcast? Was that Duchess Snedeker playing? I think a celeste. Was he playing a celeste? Yeah, that was Duchess Snedeker. Remember, I am the mother who went abroad, so my voice is different than my son's. He is not as cultured as me. I've lost my entire English accent. But yes, honey, that is Duchess Snedeker playing keys, doing things with keyboards and sounds. Did you enjoy it? Well, it seemed like he was talking a little bit about life, but I don't know if it related to me as a young boy. But I see where he's coming from. I can maybe I'm understanding the humanity of it all. Maybe that's what's I'm enjoying about this experience, and it's it's pleasant. And so, the lovely bunnies bid adieu to their favorite. I'm writing a story where I'm the favorite. They said goodbye to their favorite podcaster. Until next week, when he would return with some other new story of life and keyboards and maybe some wit. But until then, we will close the storybook for now and bid you all a farewell until next week, where we return eager and chipper and enthusiastic to hear the Duchess Snedeker podcast once more.